Hello, welcome to Rogue Legacy 2! Woo! After almost 2 years in early access, it's finally here, and it's a whole lot of fun. The game is similar to the first in almost every way, but it's got a lot of, new rooms, a lot of new enemies, a lot of new bosses, a lot of new classes, a lot of new items, and there's a few new systems that make it feel quite unique. Like, it's still that classic, really fun Rogue Legacy 1 feel, but it's like plus now. It's like the sequel. Oh yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Our character today is a gunslinger named Lady Triss II. Now she's nostalgic, which is a trait that the character gets, which makes the whole thing kind of look yellowy, kind of like an old Western. So that's what the look of this is. It doesn't really get in my way, I don't think. I think it looks pretty well fine. Really like not too bad of a trait at all. And we also have a poison shot as well as the usual dynamite. We give all of our money to Charon and we're ready to begin. Our current objective is to finish off the third estuary, so immediately we're gonna teleport to the third area and begin exploring, looking for the boss dungeon. And it's really quickly evident that this is gonna be a fun run. The hollow bones trait mixed with the gunslinger is really, really cool. It's one of those things that I didn't expect to be as fun or really as good as it actually is. Very quickly we end up finding the Dreamcatcher, which is a relic that helps you raise your max mana if you defeat enemies while you are at full HP. It's a good item. It's something I'm probably not gonna end up utilizing very much, if at all, honestly, because I use spells so infrequently, just because I have the bad habit of only ever wanting to press X. I never want to use any of the other buttons on my controller. But it is a good item, it's a good item. I'm just not sure how much use we're gonna get out of it. And at this point, we are just melting through rooms and enemies. We're going through incredibly quick, and it doesn't take us long before we find the boss room. We are a little bit hurt, and the run is so fun that I decide that we should actually go back to the previous areas. We should do a little bit of looting. We should get our HP up as much as we can. So we found the boss fight. We'll come challenge the boss a little bit later, but for now, we go on to the first area just to start looting, start looking for HP. And I am very glad we did. We find a relic that is probably my favorite item in the entire game. It's a relic called Serkit's Stinger, and it makes all of your weapons do poison damage. So now we've got a gun that is melting through people, doing poison damage on top of it, doing damage over time so we can shoot them, say in the air, shoot them once and they'll die eventually. Like, it's awesome. This is one of my favorite items. And it just made the run so much better, which is insane. It's so cool. It really made the first area go by quick. It only took like maybe 10 minutes, which is pretty good. There's a lot of rooms. It took like 10-15 minutes to go through this entire area. We got a decent bit of loot, and then we were ready to go on to area number 2. And the second area, it's got a lot of fun jumps and jump puzzles and enemies that are floaty or they're flying. Like, it's all about the jumps. It's all about using your ability to spin attack in the air, to utilize that correctly in order to get from place to place, in order to defeat enemies, in order to avoid traps. It's a cool area, and there's a lot of chests. So I always clear the second area out, just because there's a guarantee of like 6 or 7 chests just by going on the main route. It's really good. And it doesn't really take us that long. In no time at all, we finish up the second area and we're ready to go fight the boss. Nama is a tough fight. Also, it's kind of hard to say. Nama, man, something like that. It's a tough fight. She rides around the room. She's got this big pink flower that she's in. She rides around the room. She's throwing flames and she's throwing jellyfish at you. The best way to take down her attacks is to use your spin attack while in air, and that ended up being a pretty big issue for us. It was discovered very quickly that Hollow Bones is actually pretty difficult of a trait for us to have on this fight. Falling at a slow speed was difficult. It caused us to take quite a few little hits here and there. Like, also just not being very good at this fight yet caused me to take some hits, so don't get me wrong. But I think with regular falling, it would have been a lot easier for us. So yeah, the hollow bones was a little bit of a detriment for us on this fight. We got to the second phase in freaking record time, man. We did it so well. But after that, we met our downfall. Our health slowly but surely and steadily dwindles, while the bosses stays about the same. Due to the little red spheres, it's really tough to get attacks in, and just in general, there's a lot to manage in this fight. We did end up dying, we ended up losing, but it was a really fun run. It was, you know, I thought it was at least a decent attempt. In the end, we killed 187 enemies, we made over 11,000 bucks in loot. It was a really fun run, it's a great game, and yeah, that was the legacy of Lady Triss.